Welcome to another episode of the Locker Room Podcast. Today is so fun. It's a Ask Me Anything episode. So I asked you on Instagram, I asked you in our broadcast channel what questions you have, and I'm going to run through everything that I got. First question is interview tips and ways to prep. So the best thing that you can do is to practice intentionally. We actually have in our program monthly interview questions that we do live because it is such an important piece. And it's something that if you make it to finals and you go through the interview process, interviews could be a make it or break it situation for you. And I don't tell you this to scare you. I tell you this to empower you to practice as much as you possibly can so you can show up prepared to interview process during finals or whenever it is during the auditions that you are participating in. So how do you fully prepare? You want to practice mock interview questions as much as you possibly can. And like I mentioned, we do this literally every single month in our program. Everyone goes around and I ask them a interview question. You answer it as if you would in an interview. And then you get feedback from me, from a coaches and judges perspective, so then you can keep working on it. And you might actually do it a couple times in our program, depending on how the answer is and making sure that you feel really confident in how you answer it. We also actually have an entire list of potential interview questions that you could be asked for you to start getting your mind in the interview question space that's inside our program as well, so you don't go into the interview process totally blind. And so you can practice on your own. And if this is something that you don't feel super confident and comfortable in, I definitely recommend that you work on your interview skills as much as you possibly can. Because like I said, it can potentially be a make it or break it, because you, depending on if there's cuts after interviews or there's not, and it's a tie between you and someone else, interviews can come into play. And I want you to know that 9 times out of 10, the coaches and judges are really interviewing you, 1, because it's a job, and 2, because they want to get to know you and if you're a right fit for the team, the organization, and for the personalities of the squad. I know one time we were in finals and we had a dancer that we thought was going to make the team, and yet unfortunately she got so in her head about the interview process, and I can't even tell you what she said or what she didn't say, but I know that we afterwards were like, man, we really thought that she was going to crush it and make it onto the team, and yet that piece held her back from advancing to the next round and or making it onto the team. And so again, I don't tell you this to scare you. I tell you this so you can be prepared with the interview process. And the interview process helps like the judges and the coaches with a couple things. So I want you to go into the audition or the interview process knowing this, because it will help reframe how you approach the interviews potentially and like the answers that you give. So first, one of the reasons why interviews are conducted is because the coaches or judges want to see how you respond to answering questions on the fly. So when you're on a team, you're interacting with season ticket holders and fans and ownership, and you have people coming up to you and asking you the randomest things. And you need to be able to hold your own and be able to speak eloquently and sometimes like politically correct, and making sure that you are a good representation of the organization and being a brand ambassador. And so that's one piece of why you're interviewed. Second, in my opinion, is one of the most important, is like I mentioned, are you the right fit for the organization and for the team? You will be spending 3 to 7 days a week together, more time than you spend with your friends and family in any given season. And so making sure that your personality really gels with the coaches and the team and the veterans, all of that really comes into play dependent on the team that you're auditioning for, because they ultimately know, hey, we're going to be spending time with this dancer and we want to make sure that they are the right fit, ultimately. And so when you think of it that way, I want you to think about how you can showcase who you are, what you bring to the table, and why you would be an asset to the team when you are answering these questions versus I have to say the right thing at the right time that is going to get me onto this team. It truly is just to see who you are and what you believe in rather than this perfect answer that is like pageantry, okay? And the third thing is that not giving the right answer, but the real answer. What is authentic to you? The great thing is that every person is completely different, and that's what makes a team so unique. You have all different personalities, all different ways of thinking. And so if you do yourself a disservice of just answering the way that you think the judges want to hear you answer an interview question, you'd be doing yourself a disservice because you won't be showcasing who you are and what you believe in and what makes you uniquely you. So go into this with like a breath and know that if you show who you are and can give answers that are authentically you, then that is all that you really can do. Okay, next question along the lines with interview questions. During the interview process with the judges, what is the best answer to a question a candidate has given that made it memorable to you? So here's what I'm going to tell you. I honestly can't remember a single answer that I've been given. We practice these every single month and I still can't remember the answers that I've been given in our program. And I tell you this because it's not about what you say. It is about who you are, what you believe in, and your ethos. Are there going to be questions about the game and the organization? Potentially. And you need to have those facts and know those. The flip side is that you are going to be asked, like, what are your strengths and your weaknesses? What makes you you? How would someone describe you? All of those things shows the judges and the coaches a lens into who you are. And that can't be taken away from you and it can't be replicated. And so just thinking less about, again, the right answer and really digging into that real answer of who you are. And nobody knows that better than you, and nobody can answer for you like you do. And I just Googled what the Miss America pageant question and answers are, so I'm going to read it to you. Contestants articulating their vision, values, and leadership, focusing on the organization's pillars: service, scholarship, style, and success, often tackling complex current events, social issues, or personal platforms to demonstrate purpose, grace, and readiness to be a role model and ambassador, providing they are more than just beauty, but leaders with a voice and a plan for community impact. That is a lot to think about, right? That is not what you are doing. You are interviewing for a job, and you are interviewing to show who you are. Does that kind of cover some of it? It does. Like your vision, your values, yes. And how you're a leader or not a leader, like if you're a veteran or not a veteran, whatever it is, there's some elements to it, but it's not this perfect answer that needs to be so perfect because it's being evaluated and marked and judged and all that stuff. I can't speak for all teams because I haven't been part of all teams' organizations, but I can speak for the teams and organizations that I've been part of, is that the interview process really is to get to know you. And when you put on this like perfect persona and God, it doesn't allow us to get to know you. So really just leaning into how can you authentically show who you are. Now, I'm not saying that like you don't want to have politically correct answers and that you are not pulled together. That's not what I'm saying. You still want to give professional, brand ambassador worthy answers. I just want you to make sure that you are showcasing also who you are, what you believe in, and your values. Next question. How do you work on confidence every single day? So this is interesting. The definition of confidence is the state of feeling certain about the truth of something. So my question to you is, do you believe that you can do this? Are you certain of your skills of being a dancer and know that you can show up and execute moves and perform? Also, I think that confidence comes from the small commitments that you make to yourself and actually showing up for yourself and following through, that builds confidence. And confidence comes with competence, okay? Confidence comes with competence. If you are competent in something, you build confidence, which then is like this flywheel that makes you more confident and more competent and more confident and more competent, okay? My first time podcasting, for example, did I know what I was doing? No. Did I know that there was a message that I wanted to share and get it out, and this was the way that I knew was possible? Yes. So my confidence came from knowing that I am a competent teacher and coach and mentor, and that this was just another platform and way for me to get my message out, okay? And every time I try to iterate, get better, and improve upon what I'm doing, and that is all that I can ask of you to become more confident. Are you showing up for yourself and pushing yourself? Do you believe that you can do this? If you don't believe that you can do this, you need to work on your beliefs and not your confidence. And if you do believe that you can do it, it's showing up day in and day out. I think that we either like question ourselves of our abilities if we've been told no before, or we compare ourselves to other people. I think we often think that we're just not good enough, or that we'd never be able to make it. And that thought in itself really hinders us from movement and moving forward. And really how you talk to yourself is going to make a huge difference. And then I also think that most of us are very much perfectionists and wanting to not be in like the messy middle, right? You are a dancer, you're good at dancing, and you want to make it onto a team, and you don't want to be told no, and you don't want to have to, not that you don't want to work hard, but you don't want to have to go through like the icky parts of training, potentially, that you have to work on something over and over again to get it right. Because just because you know how to dance does not mean that you know how to dance in the pro sports entertainment genre, okay? It's like learning a new skill. Can you write freehand, and then can you write in cursive? You're still writing, technically, but you're writing in two different skill sets, okay? I think it's freehand, right? So you need to shift your brain into like, how can I learn this pro entertainment style and be okay with getting feedback and being told no, hey, we got to work on it, and potentially being told no at auditions and still coming back and fighting for it. Because if you're not willing to fight for it, did you really want it that bad? And if this is your first time and not wanting to go in, not looking the part, or feeling like you don't know where to start, I encourage you to research as much as you possibly can. There's so much information out there for you. This podcast has so much information. There's 43 episodes now. You can dive into that. And also, we have a free masterclass that if you DM me the word masterclass on Instagram at the Cultivate Code, I'd love for you to join. I will also leave the link in the show notes, and I go into detail of the 3 things that I think dancers are missing from a judge's perspective at auditions. And if this is your first time, go to someone who has been there before and learn as much as you possibly can from them, and ask questions and be okay with learning and this being new, and take this as a growth opportunity. Because if you run into this opportunity with open arms, you never know what could be on the other side for you. When you make a team, it is going to be so amazing. And I just want that so much for you. And I don't want your beliefs and your lack of confidence to hold you back from ultimately getting the thing that you want to get, which is to be on a team. Okay, enough of that before I start crying. So next question is what makes a dancer undeniable to a judge? And I think that goes back to your confidence and your entertainment factor. So prelims, you're going to be competing against the masses, right? Large group of people. Then you go to semifinals, and for the most part, everyone who's in semifinals can dance. Everyone in finals can really dance, right? And so the thing that sets you apart from the other dancers in the room is your confidence, your unique style, and how you bring to life the choreography while still maintaining the style of the team. You don't want to be so individual that like you lose the pro style or the execution that the choreographer wants. And then lastly, your entertainment factor. You are auditioning to be an entertainer, and it's not just your dance skills. It is, how do you make me feel when I'm watching you, and can you keep my attention on you and only you the entire time? And I don't mean that by like crawling up to the judges table and whipping your hair around. No, that's a bad way to keep my attention on you. How do you embody the routine that is given to you and perform it with confidence and execution and cleanliness, that just like you have that star power and the judges' eyes go to you and they stay to you until they're taken off you? That is what you want. And you have to be okay with wanting the attention, not like in an attention seeker type of way, but knowing that they are watching you and not crumbling under the pressure. So I think that's my thing for being undeniable to the judges, is that entertainment factor and you just having confidence in yourself. So refer back to the last point for having confidence, okay? This next question is similar, is how to make yourself stand out in a crowd of 100 plus dancers. Very similar. I would say other ways that you can make yourself stand out is doing your research and showing up like you're a veteran. Research so much and try to emulate the team that you're auditioning for. Each team has a different vibe. Do you need to change your vibe per team? No. Which leads me to another point, is like making sure that you're trying out for the right team that fits your vibe. You have tattoos and you don't want to cover them? You got to make sure that you're auditioning for a team that allows you to have your tattoos out in the open, right? I don't want you to change who you are per team, but I do want you to show up like a veteran would and look the part, dance the part. Like Raiderettes, they're sassy, sexy. Gold Rush, they're very smiley and big and cute, right? You can audition for both those teams, and you might just need to switch up. Like Gold Rush wears red lips. You got to find a red lipstick that looks good on you and show up ready to wear that red lipstick and be able to have the makeup that looks good with it too. Raiderettes, it's more glam, it's more sassy, it's like bold eyes, right? So showing up like a veteran would will help you stand out. And actually it helps you blend in, which when the judges are looking at you and you blend in with the veterans, they're like, oh my gosh, this person was on the team last year, and the coaches say no. That is also a good thing, that the judges think that you were on the team before. I think other things that can make you stand out is how you approach the situation, how you take feedback, and ultimately, if one piece of feedback is given to one person, adjust it on yourself. Even if you don't think that you're doing it wrong, adjust yourself. See if you can make one little tiny tweak to make yourself better. Judges can see that. Because if you're in front of me and I hear the choreographer say, make sure you're hitting ta-ta-ta-ta, not ta-ta, right? And then I'm watching the person in front of me and they like note it and they make that little tweak, even if they were doing the same thing the last time, I notice when they make that adjustment. And so making sure that you, anytime, take feedback that is not given to you or given to you and implement it right away. That will also make you stand out. Okay, next question. A good workout split for the months leading up to auditions. I'm actually going to put in the show notes last week's episode because I broke down my whole training schedule geared for you for the 3 months leading up to auditions. I will say strength training, Pilates, yoga, dance classes. I have the whole thing mapped out for you. So go listen to that episode. I think it will be really helpful for you. And then last question is how to train if you are a beginner. There's a lot of stages of being a beginner. Do you know how to pick up choreography? Can you listen to music? And do you have musicality? Do you have technique fundamentals of turns, kicks, and leaps? All of those things, I think if you don't have those, figuring out how to get those. So if you have never danced a day in your life, take ballet classes. Ballet is the fundamental of every single piece of dance, whether we like it or not. I personally didn't love ballet, but it made me into the dancer I am today because we had to take it twice a week at my studio. So it is foundational. Like the foundation of a house, if the foundation is rocky, the house will crumble. Okay. Same thing goes for your skills as a dancer. You need to have some of those foundational skills. So if you can, take an adult ballet class and get into those. Also, work on your technique. And then being able to pick up choreography, retain choreography, and perform choreography. Those are the 3 things that if this is completely new to you, I would start there. Because if you come into one of our classes and we're learning 6/8 counts in 30 minutes and then we're performing it in front of a choreographer, you might just get a little bit lost and frustrated, honestly. And so I highly recommend getting those foundations. And then if you are a dancer who struggles with technique, you need to be taking technique classes. You need to be taking ballet classes. All of those things, foundationally, if you can get into one ballet class a week for everyone, honestly, if you didn't grow up at a studio, I highly recommend it because it is something that truly can just make so many light bulb moments for you of just pointing your toe and the positions of everything. It will be so helpful. And on the flip side, if you are more of a technically trained dancer, you grew up in a studio, you are going to have to work so hard on hitting hard and executing and moving. And I tell you this because it just shows you that no matter what skill set you have as a dancer, you always have something to work on. Not technically trained, but maybe you're more on vibes, you need the technique. Technically trained, you need to be able to execute and elevate your entertainment factor. So everyone has something to work on, and it just depends on how many of those boxes do you tick off for the judges in comparison to everyone else in the room, and how close are you to being that full package. Is everyone a full package when they make it onto the team the first time? No. And you can still make it onto a team. You just want to be sure that you're doing as much as you possibly can before you head into auditions. So that is all my questions for today. If you have any other questions that come up, you can always DM me at the Cultivate Code on Instagram, and I will add them to the next Ask Me Anything. And if this was helpful for you, I would love to invite you to the 3 Secrets Masterclass. We're going to go into detail of the 3 secrets that I wish dancers knew heading into auditions, and what, in my perspective, what I am looking for as a judge when I am judging NFL and NBA dance team auditions. So I will leave the link in the show notes below, and I will talk to you next week.